Nicole Danielle.
And I'm Meghan Lee. And this is Romance on the Rocks, where two bookish biddies imbibe and talk about romance novels.
But what are you drinking today, Meghan? Are we still doing our health challenge today?
Yeah, we're still health and wellness challenge. And initially, my thought had been, because my book this time around, it's called Closer to You by Cheryl Lister. It is a romance murder mystery, actually. So I got all excited and I went and I got myself a death water or liquid death.
Yeah.
Because I thought, well, that kind of goes for our murder mystery. And then I got behind on my health challenge today. And my health and wellness challenge has me drinking a full gallon of water every day. I have nearly a half gallon yet to drink, and it is already after 6 p.m. So I may not even crack open that liquid death while we're on this podcast because I have to get through this big jug of water. And it's insanity. So I may just be sticking to boring water. But it's okay. We'll get through this together, pod. We'll do it. What did you have for today? Because I'm really hoping it's better than giant jug of water.
All right. Well, it's pretty basic, but it's totally on theme for my book because the very first drink that she orders in the book, my heroine, she orders a vodka soda with a lime wedge.
Ooh.
So that's what I have happening here. In addition to that, there's this little line in the book about when the guests check into this resort in Minnesota, they're encouraged to add berries to their beverage. And so I sure as shit have a ton of blackberries in my garden right now. So I kerplunk a couple of blackberries into my bevy and just, make it all happy and lovely.
That looks so good. Oh, I cannot wait to join you. I will say the last 24 hours have been kind of difficult in this health and wellness challenge. I'm already on day 40, so I'm over the halfway point. I'm heading toward home, but for whatever reason in the last 24 hours, I have wanted to eat all the things and drink all the things. For a couple weeks there, I was doing really great, but man, it's been hard. And seeing that, I want that much more than jug of water. So
well, I will tell you, I have been freezing blackberries. I have been dehydrating blackberries. So I will have blackberries for you.
Excellent. I am looking forward to that.
So you're up first this time, Meghan.
Tell
me about le book.
Well, like I said earlier, I've got Closer to You by Cheryl Lister. This was published in 2019, and it is a murder mystery, which for anybody who's been following the podcast for a while, I do actually enjoy that kind of secondary plot line with a good murder or a bank robbery or, something that gets me all excited, because that's what gets me excited. So I was pretty excited about this particular book because of that. Our premise. The main character is Zara Chandler. She just inherited a bookstore and home from her grandfather, Josiah. Both the bookstore and home are located about 3 hours-ish out of Los Angeles in the small town of Blackmont, California. As a stipulation of the inheritance, Zara is only allowed to keep the property if she commits to living in Blackmont and running the store for like a minimum of 2 years. So it's not as though she can just sell off this property and walk away with the money. She's actually very okay with this. Zara has been working as a bank manager and is really over the big city life, the corporate job. She's also looking forward to getting away from Robert, a man she's been casually dating, mostly just to placate her mother. Although this change seems to be an overall positive one for her, the biggest cloud hanging over all this is the fact that not only did she receive this bounty because her grandfather died, but, as it turns out, his death was the result of a murder with a dash of arson.
Whoa!
Yup. Zara makes her way to Blackmont, full of hope, but also full of fear, since the murderer remains unidentified and at large. We quickly meet her love interest, Sheriff Kendall McKnight. Zara and the sheriff get off on the wrong foot almost immediately. Due to the mystery surrounding Josiah Chandler's death, Sheriff McKnight has been paying extra close attention to the bookstore and the Chandler home. So when Zara arrives in town, she is having difficulty getting her keys to work and gets caught messing around with the bookstore door.
Oof.
Kendall,
Okay.
yeah. So Kendall assumes that she's trying to break in and swiftly attempts to place her under arrest.
Oh, no.
There's a lot of verbal sparring, and although things quickly get cleared up, Zara is already determined that the sheriff is an arrogant pill. It takes a little bit for Sheriff McKnight to win her over, but it's pretty clear that he and Zara are attracted to one another and they make a good pair. Amidst their growing affection for one another, the mystery of her grandfather's death deepens. And Zara becomes wrapped up in more arson, break-ins, threatening notes, shots fired, a stabbing, hospitalizations, and a chance meeting with the Sheriff McKnight's ex-fiance. Which, that has nothing to do with the grandfather's death. It just sounds dangerous also. But I'd add it. I don't want to spoil this book, so I will now move on to the section I call...
Meghan has thoughts.
I have thoughts.
Yes.
Much of this book has Zara trying to assert her independence, constantly bucking the sheriff's attempts to keep her safe. This kind of dynamic is pretty common in romance novels that you and I have read. Strong man forbids strong woman from doing something, so she tries to prove her strength by defying the order, puts herself in harm's way. Either an argument ensues, or she needs to be rescued from danger.
And then learns her lesson.
Well, this book, it was more of him requesting that she follow some basic rules in order to ensure her safety. She seems to always hear these requests as a demand. And I wonder, at what point do these heroines just seem like grown toddlers? I get being independent and not wanting to be told what to do. I get that reflexive nature of trying to, push back. But there is legitimately a murderer on the loose.
And it's not like he's any old dude. He's a sheriff.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. And this murderer is now targeting you. So maybe when your handsome sheriff boyfriend suggests you not go somewhere alone, maybe you have somebody accompany you, or take a few weeks and get out of town. Maybe you should do it.
Nah.
Instead of just stomping around like a 2-year-old saying something to the effect of, "You can't tell me what to do." I feel like that has become such a trope that we see in these books where I'm like, where do we draw the line of, yes, girl, assert yourself, and girl, come on. Mama said don't touch the hot stove. Maybe don't touch the hot stove.
Yes, I see the problem, Meghan.
Yeah. Okay, I have a thought. We read a lot of small town romance novels.
Yes, we do.
This is the first one that I've read, at least, that actually gave me a population count.
Oh.
I thought this was fun. Because as you know, I grew up fairly rural. I'm living fairly rural now. Miss Lister gave the population of Blackmont as around 1,000 people. Just under 1,000.
That is small.
Okay, so I received my mail in Sister Bay, Wisconsin, and that is about the same population, right? So in my head, I'm making Blackmont Sister Bay, Wisconsin. So I can imagine all these shops fitting into my town. So I found that interesting because some things were kind of spot on. In general, when they say, oh, they're from a small town, that could mean anything. Like a small town to me is maybe different than what a small town is to you, but no, I've got definitions. It's Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So spot on. The fact that there's only a handful of restaurants and they are all super familiar, so you know what the core eating out experience is going to be. Running into friends and family around every corner.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You're going to see people you know no matter where you go.
I mean, shit, that used to happen in Wausau. And Wausau is like a metropolitan area of 150,000 people.
Right. So when I'm thinking 1,000 people, the lack of big city name brands. Zara laments the inability to get Chipotle. or
Oh,
her
hell yeah.
favorite fancy flavor of Doritos.
Yeah.
Legit, girl, I have to drive nearly an hour to go to the grocery store that has all the things that I want. The one fancy restaurant in town is only open Thursday through Sunday. And there's a quote in the book from one of the other sheriff's deputies, and he says, "Man, you know ain't nothing secret in Blackmont." And I'm like, "Yep. You know everybody, and everybody knows your business, right?"
Yep.
But then there were things where I was like, that seems a little implausible for a town of under 1,000 people. So at one point in time, Zara gets a recommendation from the innkeeper for the best salon in town. And I'm thinking, the best salon? Like, you got choices? There's multiple salons that you could be going to in this town of 1,000 that you need recommendations. You couldn't just pick between the two. Like,
I was going to say there can only be 2 legit salons top,
Right.
and then like 3 ladies doing it out of their garage.
Right. Right. So I was like, I don't know that she needed that recommendation. Right. That seems a little bit off. And then one of the things that they have, a movie theater. I'm like, no, I don't think you do.
Oh, well, I mean, is it like a little movie hall with a big screen where there's 50 seats and they're folding chairs? Because I find that plausible.
I mean, maybe, but it sounded like there were choices of movies. And I will say, in my area, we do have a theater.
A theater?
A theater, but it is the outdoor theater that is only open 4 months of the year.
Yes.
And it is, you know, anyway, I'm just saying it seemed a little implausible that your town of 1,000 had a movie theater. But all little towns are different, and I could be totally wrong. So I just thought that was interesting that I could actually put myself in this
I'm
place.
with you on the salon options, though. Because, you know, it's like Susie's cut and curl.
Yep. Yep.
Or
Curl up and dye.
Betsy's- Yeah, curl up and dye. Or Betsy's cut above. Or it's something like that. And then it's literally some old lady who's been doing the same roller sets and perms on the same 4 clients out of her kitchen or garage then. Like, that's it. Those are your choices.
Yep, exactly. So anyway, I just thought that was funny to be able to go through this book and actually put myself in the place. The first kiss between Zara and Kendall was fairly forceful on his side.
Oh.
Kind of an, I'm going to kiss you to shut you up kind of moment.
Oh, I don't know how I feel about that, Meghan.
Right. So initially I was like, ugh, how am I going to feel about the rest of it? But after that initial encounter, everything after that was very consensual. And at one point he says to her, if there's something you don't like, let me know.
Oh, I love that.
And then he says, if you want me to stop at any time, tell me and I will. Okay. And I was like, okay. So the very first one, I was just like, ooh, dude, it seems too early for you to be touching her like that. But it got better. A thing I always love, Zara and Kendall have months to build the relationship. Months.
It's not just days?
No, not just days. Months. Weeks go by and weeks go by and weeks go by. And I'm like, this seems legitimate. We see them going out to eat. They head to the 4th of July fireworks. They go hiking. They play basketball. They run errands, do projects, attend family picnics. It's a very wide dearth of things that make you go, this is well-rounded. And it didn't feel like a slow burn because it felt like they were dating through most of the book.
Like a natural progression of a relationship.
Yes. Yeah. It wasn't this long build up towards something. It was just clearly they're trying to work it out and figure out how they work together. There's also a ton of moaning and groaning in this book.
Ooh.
A lot.
What do you mean?
It's a lot of she moaned deep in her throat, gripping his shoulders. Okay, so that fine. They both moaned. He buried his face in her neck and released a guttural moan. Their groans and cries echoed. She moaned loud and long. Her name tumbled from his lips in a deep moan. So that's all sexy schmexy stuff, right?
Yeah.
Anytime they ate food.
Really?
It was, she put the strawberry ice cream up to her lips, moaned in pleasure. or somebody was eating a pastrami sandwich and it was so good that they groaned. There was so much moaning and groaning in this book that at one point in time, Kendall says, and I thought this was so funny because this is toward the end of the book, after I'd already been highlighting every time and they moaned or groaned because it was so many times I couldn't stop myself. On page 220, Kendall had never met a woman who aroused him just from the simple act of eating. And I was like, because she's moaning and groaning the whole time, man. She's eating that ice cream and she's going, oh. I'm like, of course.
Hey, Megan. Hey, Megan. This drink is so good.
You got to practice them moans and groans, girl. Keep going.
I'm good. All
right. There was a lot of food groaning and moaning in this book. And we have talked about food throughout this particular season. Yeah. Tons of food in this book because there were family gatherings and picnics and a lot of eating out. But the things that stuck out were the strawberry ice cream, the pastrami sandwich, and probably peach cobbler. Those would be the three I would bring up to the top of the list. But there was so much food.
There's a lot of food in my book too. Fish fries and yeah.
There was nothing I wouldn't have eaten in this book probably. And I liked that about this character too, is Zara sounded like she could throw down when it came to food. She was gonna
love it.
And I loved that too. He decided to cook for her and he was asking her, like, is there anything that I need to be avoiding? And she said, as long as there's no Brussels sprouts or lima beans, I'm good. I love Brussels sprouts, but lima beans, I'm on board with that. Blech. Gross.
They're right down there with fava beans and butter beans and any giant-ass bean that should not be consumed by humans.
Yep, gross. Gross. So I was in that club with her. I could leave the lima beans. And then I would say the last couple things that I'll throw out there. Kendall was very thoughtful from the perspective of just really little considerate things that I think can often get overlooked. Early on, the two of them had decided to drive somewhere and she looked at the clock and she's like, ooh, it is 4:00. By the time we get back, it's going to be late. I might get cold. I didn't grab a jacket or anything. And he's like, don't worry, I'll let you borrow one of mine. But then later on in the book, during this 4th of July fireworks event, they're walking toward the event area and she asks him what he's carrying and he goes, oh, well, it's a blanket in case you get cold. And I was like, oh, he was thinking about the last time they did something late at night and she was going to get cold. And this time he just planned ahead and brought something extra. And I thought that was very thoughtful, very simple, but sweet. And then there was another moment where he asked her if she'd like something to drink. They're at the family picnic. She says, sure, I'll get an iced tea. So he goes into the cooler, he pulls out the iced tea, but before giving it to her, he wipes all the ice and the condensation off of it before handing it to her.
Oh, that's nice.
I know that sounds really, really simple, but what it made me think of is I have a friend from high school. When she first met the man who became her husband, the reason she decided that she was interested in him was because he had asked if she wanted a soda. She said, sure. He pulled it out of the fridge, but before he gave it to her, he grabbed a rag and wiped the top off. And she was like, that was just so thoughtful and considerate and just not expected that it piqued her interest. And it's those little things that really catch people. And Kendall did a lot of that kind of stuff in this book. Little stuff.
I love it.
Here's my favorite quote, I would say, only because it felt like it didn't belong in a romance novel. And it sounded like, I'm calling it a boy quote. It sounds like something that would be in like an action movie. And this is Kendall facing off with one of the people who's involved in like the whole murder plot. Using lightning speed reflexes, Kendall brought his foot up in a roundhouse kick and knocked the gun from his hand. He spun around and smashed a fist in the man's face.
Yeah, that's a little die-hardy.
I was just like, yeah, get him, man. Get him. Roundhouse kick him.
For sure.
So that is it. I mostly enjoyed this book. I think because you and I have had that discussion of getting much more in tune with what we really are enjoying.
Yeah.
That had I read this much earlier on in our journey, I'd be like, this is the best. but I'm just discovering things about myself of what I do or do not particularly care for. And I'm like, this book was good. It was written well. It's a nice book. It's just maybe not as funny as I've decided I enjoy my romance novels.
Yeah,
It was
you like a little more
serious.
humor?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
After reading the Delilah Green Doesn't Care last week, I liked that book and it was funny and light. And because this one's more of a murder mystery, it was a little bit heavier, I guess I'd say. So overall, a good book, a solid read. I liked the way their relationship moved, and I would give this a jalapeno.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
And it seems like the author is a pretty prolific writer.
I know she's got other novels out there. I have not checked them out, but yeah. I'll bring it and get it signed. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you got?
I have Say You Mean It by Meghan Reinking. This is part of the Ruby Lodge series, though it is a standalone book. The author has also written the Hawaiian Getaway series, which is currently a collection of 4 books, and these novels seem to have some Minnesota and Hawaii ties. Quite the juxtaposition. But as anyone who's been to Austin, Minnesota can tell you, where the land of spam is, there are many Hawaiian tourists that cross over to Minnesota to check out the spam factories. And who doesn't like to get away to Hawaii from a cold Minnesotan winter? So I get it. I get the ties there. Anywho, the author, Meghan Reinking, she lives in Minnesota and is a wife and mother of 3. And in her website bio, she says she's a fan of B.K. Borison. Oh. Same girl. Same.
Very nice.
Yeah. So this book is published 2024. It falls into the contemporary romance genre. It is written in first person with alternating perspectives of the 2 main characters. Some spoilers. I'm going to have some spoilers, though I will not spoil the whole book. But some trigger warnings, and this is directly from the author's note at the beginning of the book. Say You Mean It is a contemporary romance story that includes on-page descriptions of feeling depressed and of having low self-esteem. Negative self-talk is prevalent, and the content within may be triggering for someone who struggles with any one of these issues. Your mental health and well-being is the most important thing to me, so please be mindful of this trigger warning and consider it before reading if you think you may be sensitive to it. Other potential trigger warning: parent with Alzheimer's. The main characters are Blair Williams, a personal injury lawyer, and Meghan. She's a fib. She's from Chicago.
For those of you who don't know, that is Wisconsin slang. That is a little bit negative for our Illinois friends.
It is. So I, as a former and longtime Wisconsin girl, that was kind of a turnoff for me, but that's a personal me problem, and I had to get over it. I did find Blair to be not too bad of a character, and I actually did relate from her in the way that she suffers from depression. Hers is way more severe than mine is, but I found her to be a very relatable character and actually a really nice person. So I was shocked and delightfully surprised. Then there is Graham Peterson, who runs his family's Up North resort, which is struggling financially, Meghan.
Unfortunate.
The plot line. Blair is at Graham's resort on fictitious Takini Island, which I was like, what?
Bikini?
Takini.
Oh, all right.
Apparently, Meghan, this is a Lakota Sioux word, which means a survivor and one who has been brought back to life. I can get with it. It just sounds a little tropical, but also I've had people tell me that Anago, when they pronounce it Antigo, Wisconsin, sounds tropical, so we'll go with it.
Sure.
Anyway, Takini Island is on beautiful Lake of the Woods, Minnesota, which, Meghan, is the walleye capital of the world, just so you know.
Oh. I'm sorry. That you just When you just said that's like a drop dead gorgeous type of quote right there. Anybody in the ether out there not seen Drop Dead Gorgeous, you are missing out.
Oh my God,
okay.
it's a cult classic, and I can just totally see a big old walleye hat for the pageant, hey?
I have the world's biggest ball of twine. Okay.
All right, so here we are at the resort. Blair is there for a work retreat with her law firm for some good old team building, because who doesn't love that? Graham notices Blair from the start when she comes up to the bar where he's slinging his drinks. They have some nice, friendly conversations while she's there, but she's got a boyfriend back in Chicago, and she's a tourist, so, best to leave that be. Blair heads back to the city. Some time goes by, but eventually Graham reaches out to her because, he's getting sued by a guest for an injury. Allegedly, the person slipped and fell on his fishing dock. Blair randomly decides to go up and help him and tells him not to worry about paying her. But she works for a law firm, so I have some questions about the logistics of that. But we'll just ignore all those, and we'll go with it. We'll go with it. While Blair is helping Graham with his lawsuit, she starts helping him a lot around the resort. He's super short-staffed, and she's got a lot of downtime, so she's happy to pitch in with guest check-in, the restaurant, laundry, etc. During this time, Blair has an overdue remote therapy session and decides to break up with her super asshole boyfriend over the phone. Snaps, girl. Do it up. Because he was a jerk. But now she's single and ready to mingle. The lawsuit against Graham gets dropped. I'm assuming because the people on the other end must have realized that Blair knew her stuff and was asking all the right questions and communicating in a proper professional way. And they were probably like, ooh, this is probably not going to go in our favor. So they dropped the lawsuit. Great. Good for Graham, because otherwise he would have been screwed. Then things start to gently simmer for Blair and Graham. Suddenly, though, because you gotta have a plot twist, Blair gets called back to Chicago because her ex-boyfriend, Barry, was in a serious car accident that put him in critical condition, and she's his power of attorney because they were together for 2-3 years. So she's got to go back and take care of that. She sorts through it. He ends up being stable and on the road to recovery. They get the power of attorney transferred over to one of Barry's extended family members. Blair then makes arrangements to have her belongings moved out of their apartment and put in temporary storage and heads back to Minnesota on a wing and a prayer without a real solid plan for what happens next. She just knows she likes being up at the lodge and is having some feelings for Graham, who treats her way better than her shitty boyfriend ever did. There doesn't seem to be any concern about how she's going to make an income, but if we're following typical Hallmark tropes, that's how it rolls. So I will leave it there because I don't want to spoil the ending, as this is a very obviously recently published book from 2024. Under book quotes, and I have thoughts like Meghan. And this is just me being a total smartass. Blair takes a deep breath of smoky air when she returns to the island, and she thinks to herself, oh, I miss the way the island smells. But I'm like, oh, no, honey, that's just the Canadian wildfires you're smelling.
Oh, ow.
It's all I could think in my head. I'm like, no, honey, that's not the smell you're supposed to smell.
Not now, it isn't.
Spice level. Meghan, I gotta put this one at a green pepper. And barely. It was almost milk. They kiss a couple of times. They might have had sex, but I honestly don't know because there's nothing written about it. And this is probably intended as a slow burn romance, but there's not much intensity of emotions, which I suspect has a lot to do with Blair's depression.
Can I just quick interrupt? You said it's supposed to be a slow burn romance, and I was really, really hoping that you would say, but there wasn't much of a flame, unlike the Canadian wildfires.
Yep, I should have volleyed that up for you. Sorry.
Missed opportunity.
Okay,
I'm sorry. Continue.
Okay, so, I mean, it's probably intended as a slow burn romance, but it's cooler than a casserole on a hot day, so I don't know. So there's not much intensity of emotions. Again, I think that's having a lot to do with Blair's depression. But there's also really not a lot of strong physical attraction or interaction. So, I don't know. Things I loved. I appreciated the realism of the depression and negative self-talk Blair experiences. I appreciated that Graham is a patient and understanding guy when it comes to Blair's emotional health and well-being, and he's very supportive and he's very nice. And I loved that he's a man who cares about his family's legacy and his aging parents. Who doesn't love that? My challenges. Meghan, you had a recent book that had a lot of repetition.
Yipper. Yeah, I did. That was hard.
It happened with this. The word quaint, I'm gonna have to say sorry, but it's probably overused in this book. It appears 3 times in the first 7 pages of the novel.
Oof.
And it makes its way back into the book again later, only to then be replaced with the word cute repeatedly. So that was a little challenging. I think there's a lot of other great words that can be used as adjectives to describe things that are quaint and cute. So yeah, that was a little tough for me personally. My biggest challenge in the book actually comes from the fact that I probably am too invested in these characters.
Oh no, what does that mean?
Well, when I read a book, Meghan, I really get involved with the characters, and I know they're completely fictitious, but I'm invested in their relationship, and I'm invested in them as fictional people. So I know it's a trivial thing, but I think it also definitely plays into the bigger picture in terms of it being pretty impactful for Graham and his potential to keep his family's business going and to be a successful business owner. Here it is, Meghan. Graham has an old school cash register at the bar restaurant of his resort that doesn't work, and it regularly causes problems for him and his staff. And he's like, oh, it's too expensive to replace it. Okay, Graham. And then later on, when he has the ability to replace it, he doesn't. And it just fucking floors me because every hairstylist I know, whether they make shit money or great money, has a damn Square reader. And you can get a real basic chip or card reader for Square, like for $9 or $19, and set up a free account where you get charged basic credit card processing fees. And he has no point of sale system. Like, dude, how the hell are you properly tracking your sales with a register that doesn't work? And you don't even need a register, just a cash box with a key, man. And if you're using a Square reader, it will track all of your sales for you, including your cash sales, because you can enter those in too. And he's probably missing out on a huge amount of potential bar and restaurant sales by not taking credit cards. Meghan, he's got a website. He's got Wi-Fi. But he's still not using a basic point of sale system or a reservation system for his resort. He's just writing shit down in pencil. And he's like, I can never keep up with the paperwork or the receipts. And I'm just floored. I'm like, dude, get with the times.
Nicole, let me just throw one word at you. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Quaint.
It is quaint.
This sounds like a large swath of places up by me that have websites or are on Facebook, but they are cash only. They are handwritten receipts. They don't have a cash register that works. And I will tell you, the inn across the street from me, the check-in process, when you walk in, is to go to the kitchen and knock on the kitchen door that has a sign that says, knock for innkeeper.
Yeah.
And if he's not there, he's moved another little sign in front of it that says, please call for innkeeper. And he just may not be there. And you call and he'll be like, oh, I'm at the store. I'll be back in 20 minutes and see you soon. This is how businesses run up here. So I get it, Mr. Taquini Island in the middle of nowhere. That sounds like where I'm at.
And I totally get that. And Bob and I were even talking about it because he was like, Nick, you got to calm down about the point of sale system. I'm like, but it's a no-brainer.
Oh, it is. It is. But it's all, I just, that's so where I'm at.
And Bob would agree with you because he's like, Nick, you don't want to even know how things are run at the resort I go up to for fishing in Canada every year. And I'm like, no, I fucking don't. Mm-hmm. And it's not that I don't believe that this happens. I'm just like, dude, your business is failing. I wonder why.
Oh, no, I totally see where you're coming from. And it's not that I don't agree. I just understand that this is actually what people are doing.
I wasn't doubting the realism of it. I'm just saying, like, Graham, man, this spells out, I think, a much bigger problem that Graham has and is going to continue having with his business, which brings me to my final thoughts. I'm genuinely concerned about Graham and Blair and the future health of their relationship, because Graham talks about how the resort has not been profitable for a long time, and there's all these repairs. But the repairs you do don't mean you're going to make any more money than you already do. They don't necessarily help you improve your income. And I worry that if Graham doesn't take some basic business management classes online or from his nearby community college or university extension, and he continues to refuse to do basic shit like get a POS system, he's never actually going to solve his problems. And he's just prolonging the inevitable failure of his family's business. And that makes me really sad, because I am invested now in Graham and his family's Ruby Lodge. Like, I'm here for it. And for Blair, I have huge worries for her too. She's working for Graham without any compensation, and that's all fun and cute and hallmarky for a while, but it also puts her in a position where she doesn't have financial independence. And she's got a shit ton of school loans, which she does not seem concerned about in any way. I don't know. And she suffers from severe depression, and I have concerns about how she gonna survive northern Minnesota winters. As someone who has battled depression for a long time, and I think seasonal depression really layered on top of that should not be taken lightly. And I can tell you, no matter how much you love a man, there's only so much winter a person can take sometimes. And case in point, I now live in North Carolina. Between Blair's potential mental health struggles and Graham's business struggles, I am genuinely worried for the two of them, even if they are, Meghan, completely fictitious characters that I should not be so caught up in.
No, I get it.
Blair and Graham.
I get it. I get invested too, and I think maybe that's why I get so upset about some of the writing styles around these characters, because I'm like, they deserved so much better.
Right. There is a sequel to this book about Graham's sister, Sydney, titled If You Say So. So maybe these questions and concerns that I have for Graham and Blair, maybe Graham and Blair pop back up again in this next one, and hopefully they're doing okay. I'm fingers crossed. I'm hoping they're all right.
Maybe Sydney is a business major and she comes home to help.
She does come home as an architecture person, an architecturist to engineer. I don't know, something like that. Not my realm of expertise, but that's my understanding, is that she goes back to do architecture-y type stuff.
Architecture-y?
Yeah,
that sounds like archery, but
I do think, Meghan, this could be an excellent Hallmarky movie. My hot take on it, honestly, is that this is an almost Hallmarky romance novel set at the Minnesotan-Canadian border with a city girl who leaves her big law firm job for a man in flannel. So that's my hot take on it.
So we both have big city girls that left the big city for a small town and or island.
Yep. Takini.
So Nicole, do you have any romantic reminders?
Why don't you go first while I think of one?
This sounds like last week with me where I was like, oh Lord. I actually have two. My first one I'm going to say is either calling it planned surprises or mini mysteries. I enjoyed the fact that Kendall and Zara would make plans. Let's hang out tonight. And he'd say, okay, I will pick you up at 4. And then he'd go to pick her up and she'd say, okay, what are we doing? He'd be like, just wait and see. And so it was kind of like a little moment of suspense. If it was going to be like 20 minutes they're riding in the car, are they in the car for an hour? And she'd be like, but where are we going? How do I know if I'm dressed appropriately? He's like, nope, you're fine. Just wait and see. And my favorite one that he did was he drove her to Chipotle. It was over an hour away, and he drove her to Chipotle because she had mentioned missing Chipotle. Aww. And so he took her out to dinner, and I was like, that is so sweet. It's the kind of thing where you know for a fact your partner is going to like that. It's not a surprise that is for you. It's a surprise that you know they're going to enjoy, and it just a little layer of mystery and fun.
Yeah.
And then along with that, like, kind of fun as well, playful bets. The two of them would bet on their basketball games. So the first time they played basketball against each other, she was like, I know I can beat you. And of course he's laughing. He's like, there's no way you're going to beat me. And she said, okay, well, I think I can. Let's make a bet. And he's like, not for money. He's like, if I win, I get to kidnap you for a day. no questions asked. And she said, all right, well, if I win, you take me to dinner, and not at our little podunk restaurant here in town. And so both of them are going to get what they want in the end, right? They're going to have a fun game. They're going to have a good time. They put a little wager on it. And whether or not he gets to have a fun day of taking her wherever, or if they go out to dinner together, it's still something they're doing together. So playful bets.
I like it.
Thank you.
I think for my romantic reminder, I'm going to go with something that Graham taught to Blair. And it's calling to mind one good thing each day. Because she struggles with depression and has a lot of difficulty finding joy in the everyday things. And he's said to her, just focus on one good thing that stood out to you during the course of the day. And he's like, there's always something, at least one small thing. Mm-hmm. And this was even mentioned as something that they did in the epilogue of the book, where he was like, what's your great thing for the day? And she turned it around to him too. And she's like, well, what was your great thing for the day? And he's like, well, being with you, romantical stuff.
Yeah.
But she also said at various points, my great thing for the day was talking to my best friend, Annie. And I'm like, yeah, talking to your best friend during the course of the day can be a really fabulous thing. So, yeah. So I think any relationship, friendship, or romantic relationship can certainly benefit from focusing on the one good thing a day.
I agree. I like that. It's very nice. And to have a partner who knows that your mental health can have challenges with that kind of thought process, for them to be the one helping you refocus maybe on that kind of thing is very sweet.
Yes, agreed. So, booby prize. Let's do it.
I know I have you beat. I know it because you said green pepper, and there's no way that you've got anything on me. So, I have page 12.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Every time she glared at him, his gaze was drawn to her full breasts, pressing against that snug-fitting shirt.
Oh la la.
That's when he almost arrested her.
Meghan.
Mm-hmm.
There was not a single reference of boobs.
No peaks, no mounds, no
Nothing
bumps.
in the entire fucking book.
Wow.
Nothing. I'm like, how is this possible?
Is that our third or fourth book with no breast reference?
I was trying to remember. I think it's only the second one.
Maybe
I
for
think
you.
there was
I've had two.
You have?
Yeah, I've had two. I'm almost positive.
I'm pretty sure my Debbie May Cumber did not have tatas.
Yeah, I think you're correct, which is where we came up with green pepper, but I'm pretty sure I've had two. I'm going to have to go back and look, because I thought we were up to at least three, but maybe not. Maybe I'm misremembering.
I know there was your political one back in February, the Christian romance one. Mm-hmm. But I think we allowed for something related to her breastbone.
Yeah, that one came really late in the book, too. It was when they were, when she was getting hot for Jesus. Hot for scripture.
Yeah. For Moses.
Yeah, he was parting the
Red Sea.
The Red Sea. I don't know who's gonna win this next round, because do you hear that evil laugh? Do you hear that? This is Nicole and I are going to be doing a book swap
for the month of September. Yeah.
So that is coming up, our book swap.
And the book swap, I think we both sent each other something, a ha-ha, coming at you book. And then the other one is like, oh, this is actually nice and thoughtful, and I thought you really might enjoy this book.
Yeah, that I would agree with that. I will say the one that I sent that was ha-ha. Well, I mean, people will find out why. But I gotta tell you, I'm already grossed out just looking at this book.
I peeked at the one you sent me as the haha book, and I was like, holy shit, Meg.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing to me?
Nicole sent me a book called Mine by Helen K. Diamond.
Yes.
Yeah, he is washboardy and sweaty, and that is not my thing. So he's already grossing me out.
I felt like it was equally fair for what you sent me. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're not wrong, but the one I sent you was based on the title, which made me giggle, and I had no idea that it meant anything.
All right, read me the synopsis.
All right, Mine by Helen K. Diamond. Natalie Udall thought her position at the CIA was secure until protecting her team earned her an armed escort into certain danger. Natalie can't stand the idea of being secreted away in a cabin in the middle of nowhere, especially since it means sharing those close quarters with the controlling bodyguard enlisted to keep her alive. Gabe McIntosh joined the military to support his son, and he trained as a sniper and dealt with death on a regular basis. Now retired and operating a security firm, his current assignment is to protect a CIA agent on the run. She's strong-willed and difficult, and all Gabe can think about is exerting his domination and stripping her of every expectation she has. Natalie has no intention of giving in to Gabe's straightforward demands of dominant sex with no attachments, even though the very idea of giving up control thrills her like nothing ever has. Nicole.
Are you flicking me off, Megan?
This
Wow.
is so not anything I would choose to read, so thank you for this book swap moment.
Okay, but then I sent you a really nice one for the other one to make up.
You did, but I'm not getting to read that one which thank you for that too. Thank you for the first one being a test of my will. So I have something to look forward to after this.
Well, to equal out the mine, I have this monstrosity that Megan sent me. I'm also got washboardy abs guy happening here.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is called Bob's, but it's not the name Bob. It's B.O.B. Which I didn't know what the hell that was.
I didn't either.
And now I do. Thanks, Megan.
I didn't know. Again, for anybody who's new, Nicole's husband's name is Bob. I thought that was hilarious. I had no idea. Learn it every day.
Yeah. This one is by two authors, because who could write this by themselves, apparently? Laura Lee. Veronica Chadwick is the co-author. And here's the synopsis. The year is 2375, and the world is finally emerging from strife and war to present a unified struggle for peace. Life has returned to normal, and once again, technology's focus can move from war and bullets to peace and pleasure. Sexuality has changed. Disease and unwanted pregnancies now controlled. Riding close on the heels of this new sexuality are the Bobs. Battery-operated boyfriends. A cybernetic invention created to please and pleasure. Life-size, lifelike, the most sensual, most creatively arousing sex toys ever to be created were programmed for sex and were the answer to every woman's or man's dreams. Into this new world of heightened sexuality, erotic romance has re-emerged, written and led by free-spirited sensualist Eliana Richards. It has taken the world by storm. But Eliana, living a contented existence far from the perks of conventional society, never dreamed she would experience a Bob. Never thought that her greatest fantasy, to be touched, to be held by one certain man, would ever come true, especially in the way it did. Neither did her nemesis, the McDougal. Leader of Cybertronics, creator of the Bob, full of repressed sexuality and smoldering sensuality, the McDougal, a man who has closed off his emotions and his needs, now leads the most advanced sexual design ever envisioned by man. But when the man reawakens and the Bob sleeps once again, the McDougal will remember what the Bob discovered. That there's nothing more sensual, more sensuous or heated than love and the arousal that builds from it. Thanks, fucking Meg. This sounds terrible.
Just listening to you read that, the Bob and the McDougal. It's preposterous.
Girl, I gotta tell you, when you first sent this to me, I started flipping through pages and I was like, OMG.
I didn't flip through it at all. All I saw was the cover. I was like, it says Bob on it. We're going with that.
Yeah, and that's why you get the one I sent you, lady.
That's just cruel.
Oh, really?
Mine wasn't meant to be cruel. It was meant to be funny. This is terrible.
So is mine. So is mine.
Ick.
Hey, there's a little hint of murder and mystery, and I know how much you like murder and mystery, so there you go.
It's for my own good.
I don't even know that we can share our teaser videos for these books. We'll probably get banned on social media.
I don't know, man. Could be worse.
Getting banned from social media.
No, I just mean the synopsises could be worse.
Oh, it could be worse? Dude, I don't know. This is pretty freaking terrible.
These authors are going to be like, but I put my heart into that. Then I'm going to feel terrible that I laughed at their Bobs and their McDougalls.
How could you not?
Okay, folks. So thanks for joining us today.
For another rip-roaring episode.
You got it. Yes, thank you for joining us for today's rip-roaring romance on the rocks. Please like, subscribe, and if you are a hopelessly romantic bookish biddy like us, think about giving us a review on Apple iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you catch your podcasts. And until next time, just know that your support really means the world to us. Stay safe and know that you are loved.